GBX, Nova Scotia and Kevin Maguire, have you seen the rain? This is Late Night on 107.6 East Coast FM. How you all doing? Good evening, Ray. I do apologise. I should have said good evening to you earlier on, but got a little bit sidetracked. But glad you're doing well. And as I did promise, he is here. And you did hear him earlier on with his newest track, Standing in the Rain, which is absolutely fabulous, I have to admit. And I have actually been singing, because I do volunteer down at Chest Heart Stroke Scotland. And every so often I just find myself going... Standing.
So you like it?
Love it.
Thank you.
It's only not yet made it as my ringtone yet. There's still time.
We can make that happen, I'm sure.
How are you, Jack?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing very good.
Good.
And I'm really happy.
Good.
Because you're my first guest on Late Night that's actually in the studio, not have been Zoom video call, because, I've not been able to get anybody in the studio as of yet, but it's great to have you here. And just for anyone who hasn't heard of you yet, just introduce yourself for a little bit.
No problem. Okay, well, my name's Jack Rowberry. I am from the little-known county East Lothian. I'm sure a lot of your listeners will be probably from East Lothian. And... I am a singer-songwriter. I write popular-sounding, Americana-sounding songs. I record them and I release them for people's, hopefully, pleasure.
And they are absolutely fabulous tracks. If you haven't heard any of them, I do highly recommend that you go out and check them out. The newest one, as I said, was Standing in the Rain. How did that one come about?
Well, that one's come about really. I wrote this one years ago, if I'm perfectly honest with you, but there's I wrote it quite quickly, and that was always it still is always a sign to me when writing songs. Sometimes they take months, but some just take 10 minutes, and this was one of those, and it just sort of fell together really. But the song itself is really about, it's a reflection on poorly made decisions, and that's the PR line, I guess. But it's something I hope that a lot of people can relate to. There's a lot of human elements in it, and so it's one of those. It's reflecting on that kind of thing.
And when you're writing songs, do you have a particular way that you start, or is it a combination of things that bring it together?
Good question. I've never been able to write. I've never been able to write to appointment, I would call it. So by that, what I mean is, at 3:00 on a Wednesday, I'm going to sit down with a pen and paper and write a song. I've never been able to do that. I've got to get a kind of hook in my head. I think that's probably the first thing that happens to me, is I get a melody or a lyric or whatever that hook in my head might be. But I'll probably say 9 times out of 10 it happens when I'm doing something that I'm not thinking about songwriting. So it'll be driving along in the car, in the shower, washing dishes, cutting the grass, whatever it might be, and I'll just sit and hum a song and I'll go, that's really good. And what I tend to do is I grab my phone and just put like a voice note or something in my phone. So I've got a phone that's got about a couple of thousand ideas in it, and some of them I'll just start work on immediately. Some of them I'll come back to a month later. I've got voice notes in my phone from years ago, which I do still believe are all very good and warrant something, but I can't get around them all. So it's one of those.
Well, I'm sure it'll be something that you'll be able to come to down the line when it feels just right. For any of the gigs that you've done, have they ever gone in a different direction that you've realised, or?
Any of the gigs I've done? Yeah. I've got a really positive experience with one gig in particular that came about a few years back, and this was to do with the in my opinion, great band Ocean Colour Scene. We, myself and the then manager at the time, Philippa. Hi, Philippa, if you're listening. we got word that we could go and support Ocean Colour Scene, which for me, for anyone that doesn't follow me, that's massive. There's a very detailed explanation on my Instagram page why that is important to me. But I grew up with them as a kid. My elder sister used to play them when I was a kid. So getting the phone call all these years later to go and support them was unbelievable. And that gig was always going to be important for me, obviously. But I couldn't have really imagined how important that would be. So the gig was in Newquay on Lusty Glaze Beach. So it's a 14-hour drive, I think it was. And at the time I'm working, whatever job it was I was working at the time, and it's jump in the van, drive 14 hours, play the gig, jump in the van, drive straight back because I got work again. And it was one of those, you need to do it kind of situations. And arrived absolutely knackered, arrived absolutely stressed, thinking that I'm never even going to get to meet the band. They're up here, I'm down here, and it'll be a one-off thing, and I'll just be able to sort of remember it, kind of thing. I couldn't be more wrong. The band themselves straight away made themselves known. They were lovely as well. It's people say don't meet your heroes. I disagree with that. They found out we didn't have enough food in our dressing room, so they gave us some out of theirs. The front man, I was chatting to the front man, Simon, and he realised that I didn't have a crowd down there. It wasn't my crowd, it was obviously their crowds, and I didn't have one single person in the audience there to see me. So he walked out before I went on, got the crowd going a bit, because obviously he was the superstar of the night. And I just always thought, you didn't need to do that. It was really good. So that was a gig that changed my life, because then there on after there was many more support slots, many more interactions with that band, and they've been sort of kept loosely in touch since. And it's just one of those. I'll never forget that, but I'll never forget what came after it either. So it's just, really positive, that one.
So there's every chance that we could hear that you're going back out on the road with them or supporting one of their gigs at some point in the future, do you think?
Believe you me, if I get that phone call, you'll all hear about it immediately. There's no way that's getting kept a secret for long.
You'll be on the roof going...
Yeah. There'll be signs.
And just for anyone who doesn't know, Ocean Colour Scene are an English rock band formed in Birmingham back in 1989, and they've had 5 top 10 albums, including a number 1 in 1997, when I would have been about 5 years old. Mm-hmm. God, that's telling of my age. I
believe they knocked Oasis off the top slot, so that was a good shift that day. Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm not dissing Oasis in any way. I do love Oasis, but
we'll not get into that one at the moment. It's touchy.
That is a great thing. But saying on that, aside from Ocean Colour Scene, if there was another band or solo artist that phoned you up and said, "Hey, would you support me, or do you want to work with me?" Who would you love for that phone call to be?
That's another very good question, because I could give you a list of about 1,000 people. If I had to pick one, in fact, can I give you 2? I'm going to give you 2. The one that's potentially been or potentially reachable at some point, I'm hoping might be someone like Delimitri. They are a massive influence on me and my songwriting. Their songwriting, I used to sort of study the way they write and the way they layer things, and that's. I used to sit in my mum and dad's garage with my best mate Callum, sort of almost studying how they do it, and I've always thought it's just nothing short of really impressive. But the other one is John Mayer. So that would be like the Reach for the Stars kind of support slot. That would be, the big time one. He's my guitar hero, if you want to put it that way. He and it's similar to me in not in scale, but it's similar to me in that he is a guitar player that sings, not a singer that plays guitar, and that's like me as well. I'm a guitar player that sings. Guitar is my first instrument, and that's why I think I would pick him. He's fairly phenomenal on the old guitar.
Who actually influenced you back when you were getting started and working out what your music tastes were?
I'll give my sister that one. Hi, Elaine, if you're listening. My sister used to play me music when I was a kid. She's 5 years older than me, so she had a better music taste than I did. She still does, and it's there was lots of CDs. When this was when CDs were pretty new. That's how old I am, and I remember Oasis CDs, Travis CDs, Texas CDs, things like that. So this was the sort of end of the 90s. So you can imagine the music then.
So it was sort of tail end when tapes were going out of fashion and CDs were just coming in.
Yep, correct.
Being the in thing and having a Walkman on you and things like that.
I'm old enough just to remember things like recording the radio onto a cassette tape and then flipping it over and getting something else on the other side and all that. So, yeah. And my very first CD was Travis. I've got no idea if I bought it myself or if someone bought it for me or whatever. I was young, I guess, but that was one of my first CDs. I always remember that.
Do you have a CD or tape that used to be stuck in the cassette player, as it were, that you would listen to over and over and over?
Yeah. That's got to be Ocean Colour Scene again. So again, my sister used to play me music, and it came about where there was a cassette of Mosley Shoals, their lead album, I would say, their big album, and it's the one with the Riverboat song on it, which is probably one of many songs, but one of the ones that's best known. And it's got a really chunky guitar riff at the start, and it carries on, and then when the vocal line comes in, Simon screams, "I see you double," and then it goes back to the guitar lick. Now, Elaine, my sister, used to let me play some music and stuff like that, and that was one of the ones that really caught me. I didn't play guitar at that time, but I wanted to learn after hearing that, and we fast forward quite some time, I'm sure, but there was a guitar arrived in the house, not sure where from, the attic, jumble sale, not sure where it was exactly, but I started picking a main guitar, and that was really the beginning of my guitar journey, was learning that riff. Very slowly, very probably annoyingly for everyone around me, and I could only ever play, once I learned the riff, I could only ever play up to the words "I see double," which was when the vocal came in and the song really started, so I couldn't play the song. I could just play the annoying bit at the start, probably for everyone around me. But I just loved it, and I've loved it ever since, and it's become my own personal anthem. I've got the words "I see double" tattooed on me in my sister's handwriting, because that's how important that is to my own journey, I guess. So in terms of things I used to play on repeat, it was that, probably a lot.
And you said you're a big fan of radio as well.
Yeah.
Do you when you listen to radio, do you hear songs and you think, I could probably cover that, or I could do a version of that song?
Yeah. Weirdly enough, I get a lot of people saying to me, "You should cover this because your voice might sound good on that." Obviously, influences shine through, but other people pick up my influences in different ways, and I don't necessarily hear it because it's just blended into one for me, and it's in my head, if that makes sense. But it's so. However, I hear myself, even if you were to play my song right now, I'll probably be hearing it differently to yourself or anyone else. So I would probably take the word of other people. I get Paul Weller a lot, or Richard Ashcroft a lot. I've got that kind of deep baritone voice that works well with especially solo males that sing like that. So yeah, I would say Paul Weller's the most frequently requested one from me. So I really should do a Paul Weller cover at some point. I should really think about that.
Well, I'll try again. That would be definitely an interesting one to hear, I have to say. Jack, we'll come back right with you after this next song, which is Caravan Palace and Black Betting. So stick around, more great music and Jack coming for you in the next hour. The underrated Paul Heaton with Norman Cook and Happy Hour. That was the second helping, as I promised, from the last hour when I played his newest one, Quicksand, with Rihanna Downey. Yes, he's still here. I haven't yet been able to shift him out of the comfortable seats. It's Jack Rowberry. How you doing, Jack?
I'm comfortable. Thanks.
Gotta admit, these are not really comfortable chairs.
This is the comfiest chair I've sat in a long time.
So, following from Standing in the Road, what's next for you?
Well, I have an array of songs still to release, and I'm just releasing them one at a time, if I'm perfectly honest. So there was no plans to do an album with these songs or anything like that. I think the days of albums are really gone at the moment, unless you're Ed Sheeran or something. But I don't think I've heard anyone listening to an album in a long time, apart from diehards, which would be me. I do, but it doesn't seem to be the trend. So I think I'm going to release them one at a time and take it from there. So I've got one more song with one more studio recorded song with the full band, and I've got several live studio songs with the full band, and I've also got several acoustic unplugged sounding songs with just me, and those were recorded down at Abbey Road Studios, which was really a thing to remember. So there's lots to come out still, and lots to do, and I'm trying to take them slowly and just enjoy the process, because every time I release a song, it really is marvellous. I really, really enjoy the kick of a song coming out. It's just a nice thing. So I'm just taking my time with them, really.
When you said Abbey Road Studios, do you mean the one down in London, which everyone knows is obviously Maida Vale Studios now? Yeah.
So the place the Beatles recorded. Yeah,
that must have been an experience and a half to step into that studio where they've beat many people before you have.
Yeah. I think there's no words will explain what it's like being even in that building. It's the closest I could come to it is absolutely astonishing. And when you're walking around, you've got, I mean, if anyone listening here just now Google's inside Abbey Road Studios or something like that, then you'll see the walls are covered in pictures and artwork from various different people. But you're not talking people like me. You're talking Elton John and Celine Dion and Disney and Marvel and the Beatles and Prince and people like that. So you're walking through the hallway, even sitting in the canteen in Abbey Road Studios. It's like they've run out of wall space. They've got so much on the walls, and they just keep. They're one of the most famous studios in the world for a reason. They just knock it out of the park every time, and the experience was just something I'll never. I don't think you'd be able to repeat it unless you went back there. It's just that's the basic of it, really.
But yeah, as I say, Maida Vale Studios is for anybody. It's somewhere. It's a legend where legends are born, and I think where most artists actually do aspire to, hopefully, get the chance to go into that studio, put the headphones on, and sing. Yep. Knowing that as you said, it could have been Elton John, it could have been Celine Dion, it could have been anybody that has been singing at that mic previous to them, and it's an amazing thing. Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast recently, and the Travis, the Scottish band Travis, were speaking on it, and they've got a new song out which is absolutely brilliant, and they recorded at Abbey Road, and even Travis, who must have in their time they must have come across lots of famous people, and it just doesn't seem to wear off because they were just talking talking the walls off the place about Abbey Road and about the experience they had. And if that's their experience, it must be, for people like me, you can't really comprehend it. But in the Travis song, for example, they've got a piano part at the beginning of the song, which brings the whole song in. It's called Gaslight, by the way. You're welcome, Travis. I'm sure you need my help there. But it's there's a piano part at the beginning of that song, and Fran Healy from Travis highlighted in this podcast that it's the same piano they used for Lady Madonna, and they've just never changed it. So when they were recording Lady Madonna, that's the Beatles song, they put tacks in the hammers for the piano just to make it sound a bit different and a bit more exciting, I guess. And I don't know exactly why they did that, but obviously it sounded tremendous at the time. And Fran Healy said, well, the tacks are still in it. That's just how it sounds now. That's how that piano sounds. So they used it for the beginning of their song. So these instruments are just lying around, and they've been used by people like the Beatles. It's mental.
And when you said the piano, I believe you're referencing the Mrs. Mills piano. Is that right?
Yep, I think so.
See, I know things. I'm not just a
I see that. Very good.
I know I haven't got it up on my screen over here either. Of course, I've been else entirely. Did you hear any stories when you were down at Maidavale Studios, and also that famous Abbey Road crossing?
Didn't really hear any stories. I think for everyone that works there, as polite and as lovely as they all are, they're incredible people to work with, and again, that's an experience as well. Working with those individuals, will never forget that either. But they are not. I don't think they give up too many stories. We heard a few things like Paul McCartney's got his own door. He doesn't come in the front door. He comes in the back door or somewhere, and he's got his own entrance and his own coffee machine, that kind of thing. I don't know if it's true or if I'm just being told touristy tales, but it's. I tend to believe these kind of things. I think they've got the means to treat him like that. But the zebra crossing's a funny one. The amount of tourists that are on that. So I went down with the guys in the band, the guys and girl in the band, and we didn't get a photo on the zebra crossing. It was one of those things. Do we do it? Is it cheddar? Do we do it? Half of us were like, yeah, we've got to do it. Half of us were like, absolutely not. It's too cheesy. And we just, but in all honesty, we couldn't get near the bloody thing. The amount of tourists that were on it, but also, in the UK, you're supposed to stop at a zebra crossing for someone crossing over. The locals have got a bit fed up of that now because they would never get anywhere, so they just go and they just beep the horn and keep driving. And I'm not sure I wanted to be that guy, so I didn't do it. I might do it one day, but you can do the zebra crossing anytime. You can just go down to London and do it. But it's for me, getting a picture on the zebra crossing, nearly getting flattened by an Uber, or taking a photo at the front door where not everyone can get a photo. I went for the front door.
I hope you do get the chance to do that zebra crossing, even if it is just for cheesiness, or but at least it's for something you say, I'm here.
Yeah,
a sort of I made it sort of feeling. We were saying about albums as well that you weren't planning on doing any more. I do actually still on occasion listen to new albums. I just put the first track on and just let it play.
Yep.
If it doesn't grab me in the first few minutes, I'm always like, I don't know whether I can carry on. But usually, if it's a good album, it goes, yes, I want take me on, take me for that ride, and tell me the story you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Oh. Right, we're going to come back to you again in just a little while, Jack. You're going to perform a couple of songs for us, I hope?
I would be delighted to, yeah.
Right, we'll let you get set up, and I'm going to play Paolo Nutini and Jenny, Don't Be Hasty.
Thank you.